Good morning and welcome to our daily devotional from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn. Very glad to have you with us on this Wednesday morning as we continue our study of the book of Matthew and chapter 16, verses 21 through 28. And this morning, I would like for us to focus on verses 22 and 23 of Matthew 16. I'll read those two verses and offer a few reflections and then close us with prayer. So this is Matthew 16, verses 22 and 23. So just let me say as a preface, Jesus has just predicted what's going to happen to him in Jerusalem, that he's going to suffer and be killed and raised on the third day. And verse 22, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "God forbid it, Lord, this must never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." Well, this is a well-known passage and one that carries all the characteristics that we have ascribed to Peter because of the stories about Peter. And in this one, again, Peter's his ambitions and and also his love and excitement for Jesus sort of get in the way of what Jesus sees as his mission. And so I can remember in studying this Bible verse when I was much younger, and Cedric mentioned this as well last night, that the sense that you get, or at least in the way it was taught to me, was not that it was so much Peter that Jesus was responding to, but that somehow Satan was using Peter. And so Jesus was actually addressing Satan and not Peter. And it does sound a bit harsh. As I mentioned last night, of course, the word for Satan here doesn't carry all the weight of the centuries of Christian theology that have given us a very robust picture of a devil. This term would have been more like a legal accuser. Certainly a very negative term, but someone who was actually not was being legalistic and not paying attention in the way that they should, or to what was important. And this is essentially how Jesus responded, that that you are a stumbling block to me, for you're setting your mind on not on divine things but on human things. On the other hand, several things going on here. I mean, it's a very human sort of story, right? Jesus is responding in a very human way, that is, as someone who is on a mission. And that mission has never included the idea of political success, of a political government. And it's clear in the Gospels that the disciples are a bit confused and don't quite understand what's happening, because their idea of a kingdom is still very much attached to some kind of political structure or political government, at least as the way the story is told in the Gospels. And it seems that Peter is responding out of that expectation. That is, well, of course, this can't happen. We won't let it happen, and you won't let it happen, because you're going to become a great king for the kingdom of heaven here on earth. But of course, Peter didn't understand, and we'll see Jesus gives even more thorough instructions about what it will involve. But the kind of kingdom that's involved here is one that involves laying one's life down for others, sacrificing for others, giving in ways that lift up those in need, and that also participate in the redemption from death and from sinful and unrighteous ways of living in relation to one another, in relation to creation. So this kingdom is a very radical idea, and it requires a very radical sort of mission on the part of Jesus. And Jesus seems to have a pretty good understanding of what that mission includes. Like the prophets before him, it will include suffering. But it also, let's not forget, it also includes being raised on the third day. And we'll talk more about that later this week. But it is infused with this hope of victory, not a political victory, but a spiritual, eternal victory that does not exclude the physical, but is not limited to a physical government. Let's close with this word of prayer from Theodore Parker. We thank thee for the dear ones thou givest us on earth, called by many a tender name of friend, acquaintance, relative, lover or beloved, wife or husband, parent or child, and all these sweet societies of loving and congenial souls. We thank thee for the joy which we take in these our dear ones while they are near us on earth. And when in the course of thy providence it pleases thee to change their countenance and send them away, we thank thee still for that transcendent world wherein thou continually gatherest those that are lost in time and are only found in eternity, and if reft from our arms are taken to thine. O thou infinite Father and infinite Mother too, we thank thee that for all sorrows there is balm and relief, that this world which arches over our head, invisible to mortal eye, is yet but a step from us, and our dear ones, looking their last on earth, are born anew into thy kingdom of heaven, and enter into glory and joy which the eye hath not seen, nor the ear heard, nor our hungering hearts ever fully dreamed of in our highest thought. In the Spirit of Christ, we thank thee. Amen. Thank you for joining us this morning from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn, and I hope that you have a very good day. Goodbye.